With a population of 6 million inhabitants for an area of 56,600 square kilometers, Togo is bordered on the south by the Atlantic Ocean, on the west by Ghana, on the north by Burkina Faso, and on the east by Benin. Togo is named after the current town Togoville, locality in which the traditional ruler Mlapa III in 1884 signed with Germany the German Protectorate Treaty. Welcome to Togo, the smile of Africa, homeland of so many cultures. You will arrive in Lomé, the capital, Lomé the Beautiful, as it is nicknamed. One of the most striking buildings is probably the statue of the Dove of Peace, symbol of all Togolese people. On the way to the sea, the Independence Square recently renovated. A walk along the marina is strongly recommended. On this unique beach of several hundred yards, you can watch the fishermen at work, vigorous fishermen sometimes pulling their nets from the water for hours, encouraging themselves thanks to traditional songs. On the beach, you can even directly buy fresh fish from them. Continue your way and you will be amazed by the colonial houses by the seaside and around the city. Then make a stop at Asigame, the main market of Lomé, and let yourself be overwhelmed by its various colors. It's famous Nana Bens that rule over the Pani trade. You can find almost anything, and you will surely let yourself be tempted by a traditional dress, original jewelry or paintings, maybe sculptures, or percussion instruments. It's at the center of this turmoil of life that the Cathedral of Lomé is located, a masterpiece of German colonial architecture. Always land of contrast, we are now in the market of fetishes, probably the most original market of Lomé. There are all sorts of miscellaneous objects, varied and diverse bones, horns, animal heads. All these objects found their usefulness in the practice of traditional Togolese ceremonies. A little further on, the fishing port. Alongside giant cargo ships trading to the harbor, the small traditional fishing boats. They come here to sell, after a morning at sea, the fruits of their labor. You will surely not resist the nice and frantic atmosphere. You can then relax in one of the many hotels of the capital. All standings are available. Or enjoy the equestrian club, golfing, motocross, or even make a discovery flight over the city and the region at the Aero Club of Lomé, one of the oldest in West Africa. Togo is divided from the north to the south into 5 regions: the coastal region, the plateau region, the central region, the Kara region, and finally the Savannah region from where we begin our journey. Surrounded by hills, the city of Dapaon is the last major town in northern Togo. This is the starting point of the journey to the land of Moba. Its regional museum of the savannah will make you discover the incredible cultural wealth of this population. In particular, the ancient art of weaving and its very special pottery. Women are the ones who traditionally practice this activity in the surrounding villages. They shape a variety of objects used to transport water or food. and furnaces that they decorate according to their inspiration. Namujoga is located a few kilometers east of Dapaon. A mushroom-shaped rock has served for support of series of paintings. We can recognize human and animal shapes, a horseman, and geometric shapes that we still do not understand. To the west of Tanjuare, a beautiful scenery of high cliffs is offered to you. These are the last reliefs in the north before the vast savanna that extends to Burkina. That's the way to the Nok Caves. Once having reached the top, apart from the exceptional panoramic view, you will discover in the crevices of the mountain the last shelter of population during the periods of insecurity that plagued from the 17th to the 19th century. Hundreds of granaries in which were piled traditional weapons, food, water, and fetishes were built in local materials such as stones, clay, and straw. The people there could therefore support not only a siege, but also organized attacks. This is probably the most unique site of the Savannah region. Continuing our way to the south, we are now in the Kara region. It is nearby Kante that you will probably find one of the most wonderful places in Togo, Kutamaku. Here lives one of the rarest and most authentic populations of Africa, the Tamberma, who have the distinction of living in castles made of clay called tata. For its beauty and originality, this site has been classified as World Heritage by UNESCO and figures amongst the 100 most beautiful sites in the world. The tata consists of several round huts. On the ground floor, the kitchen, the grinder for grain, a stable for goats and chicken, and a shed for food products. On the upper floor is the granary for millet and fonio, and further we can find bedrooms. The majesty of this place and the warmth of the people who live there will remain in our memories forever. There are places in Africa even more mysterious. Near these castles, the Baobab House, a strange and secret place where, according to the leader, people found an inaccessible refuge from their enemies. On the way to the town of Kaha, stop at Nyamtugu and visit the Kodani, a cooperative of disabled persons who are specialized in various technical arts and crafts. The accuracy of every move, the concentration in their work, their research and artistic imagination. Their solidarity in their work passes from hand to hand along a whole process of production. All this put together allows them to obtain a multitude of diverse and varied artworks that demonstrate once again the great wealth of this country in the work of both the fabric, embroidery, painting, jewelry, and sculpture. On your journey, make a short stop at Chare. You won't be disappointed. Around the huts, the courtyards paved with broken pottery form an amazing mosaic. You will go from one surprise to another when you discover the work of their blacksmiths. Although this technique is still practiced today, it is still amazing to us in the early 21st century. The Kara region is where you can find natural parks. Among them, the reserve of Sarakawa offers the possibility to go on a safari. Buffaloes, ostriches, zebras, and a multitude of other species roam freely in their natural environment. And finally, we have arrived at the capital of the region, Kaha, the second main city. Its museum traces the cultural history of the Kara region. Traditional ornaments, antique weapons, and various objects for daily and domestic use. In the Kabie region, you can witness one of the most beautiful festivals in Togo, Dievala, a ceremony during which young men must distinguish themselves by their endurance and strength. A week-long ritual, rich in dances, colors, rhythms, and of course, wrestling. A few miles from Kara is the town of Bafilo, famous for its traditional weavers. Coordinated movements of their hands and their feet, endlessly repeated, hours and hours on their looms, an art handed down from generation to generation. It's the combination of all these skills put together that allows the creation of original artworks that you can win for almost nothing. Leaving Bafilo, on the road to the south, you will surely arrive at one of the most famous places of Togo, the Fort of Alejo, a real saber cut in the mountain. At the bottom of the mountain, the Bassa region is known to be the center of yam farming. But mostly in the region, you cannot miss the famous fire dance. This ethnic, unique owner of the secret of Togo, has the power to dance and predict the future in the fire. This is an unforgettable show. But Bassa will reveal to you other secrets. Big furnaces that reflect the skill of the region's blacksmiths. Indeed, the inhabitants discovered early that their soil concealed iron and they exploited it for their use. Before independence, there were over 500 furnaces in the region. Leaving the Kara region, we have now arrived in the central region, where Sokode is the capital.
C'est notre musée de la région centrale. C'est un musée ethnographique, historique et religieux. Et d'abord ethnographique de par les objets fabriqués par nos parents pour faire passer le rôle et le message de ces objets. Historique, il y a d'abord l'histoire des Tchaouzo.
The Museum of Sokode is one of the richest and most heterogeneous of Togo. Musical instruments, clothing, ceremony objects, and traditional jewelry are part of the memory of religious cults. At the east of Sokode is the capital of the Tem Kingdom. Its traditional chief will allow you to discover the chiefdom as well as the attributes of the Tem King.
Bon, vous voyez ici là, c'est l'entourage du roi.
The Tem are also well known for their cavalry. Seeing them ride their horses, decorated with lively colors, put horseback riding at the rank of the finest art. Welcome to the Plateau region and to Atapame, the capital built on the hill. It is one of the peaks, along with Badu and Palime, of the coffee and cocoa trade. Near the center of the town, you can find the neighborhood of traditional blacksmiths. According to the entirely handmade techniques and means, they continue the tradition of their ancestors. In their workshops, they forge tools, musical instruments, and a variety of original objects. Atapame is also the realm of stilts. If by any chance you come across them, you will see them 5 meters above the ground and perform gestures worthy of the greatest circus in the world. At 20 kilometers from Atapame, discover the ruins of Kamina, the former German military base. You can stroll through the walls of the headquarters and see the remains of the towers that held up a giant radio transmitter linking together Togo, Berlin, and the fleet of the South Atlantic. If you like taking a walk, you shouldn't miss the Akloa waterfall. You will need to go through a path winding through the forest among the cocoa plantations, cross rivers in the landscape of great beauty, far from civilization, to finally enjoy the view of the largest waterfall in Togo, a pure beauty of the nature hidden in the depths of the forest. Stretching along the mountains and under the protection of its cathedral, dating from the colonial era, the town of Palime has a microclimate that makes it one of the best tourist cities of Togo. Palime is also the capital of yams. You cannot leave without tasting its famous fufu, a kind of paste pounded in a mortar for hours to get the smoothness required. It is accompanied with a variety of sauces in which you dip your famous fufu. For dessert, its fruit market offers bananas, oranges. The craft center of Palime is the biggest of the country. Calabash carvers, carvers that you can see at work and see the birth of their various artworks. Also batik, the special candle-based painting as well as the potters. After a road bathed in green light and a walk through the forest, you will encounter a small piece of paradise, the Cascade of Wome. Forget the crowds and the noise of the big cities and immerse yourself in the pure waters which, according to the legends, have relaxing and magical virtues. A few miles from Palimé is the German cemetery. In the silence of the rainforest, overlooking a luxuriant green valley, graves. Going through a green landscape all year long, winding hillside, you will climb the hills of Palimé in an ever-changing tropical forest to go hunting for butterflies. Colorful butterflies, hundreds of species, one more beautiful than the other. The region of Noche is the kingdom of pineapples. You can take a walk through the fields and by the roadside eat the sweetest and most flavorful pineapples. After tasting Noche's pineapple, you won't be able to savor any other. If you're keen on archaeology, you will not like to miss the site of Kpevo and Achoku.
C'est l'affûtage des objets tranchants. D'après les archéologues, cette roche a été utilisée à l'époque néolithique. Ici, c'est le polissoir de Achoku, où vous retrouvez également les traces d'affûtage des objets en fer, des objets que nos ancêtres utilisaient dans le temps. Donc, vous verrez ces traces-là.
In the region, we can still find slabs dating from the 16th century, and the sanctuary of Eve Agbobo still exists.
Bien, donc nous sommes à l'entrée du sanctuaire d'Agbobo. Agbobo, c'est la grande muraille qui avait entouré le royaume de Ngotien au XVIe siècle, sous le règne de Togo Agokoli Ier. Agokoli Ier,
And here we are, almost at the end of our trip, back to Lomé in the coastal region. Miles of sandy beaches stretch along the coast of Lomé to the border of Benin. Take a walk at Bagida, at Vepozo, and enjoy a swim in the ocean if you are a good swimmer. Or simply relax under the thatched huts of the small bars that line the beach. A half an hour from Lomé, on the shores of the ocean, the slave house of Agbodrafo is one of the last vestiges of the slave coast. One cannot imagine seeing this Afro-Brazilian style house in which thousands of slaves have been kept in the basement, packed in moisture, fed through a hatch, and cannot even be able to stand up. This place is still today feared by the people who witnessed its past. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city is the Lake Togo, a quiet immensity of ocean contrasting with the turmoil. You can enjoy its tranquil waters, for example, by relaxing at the Hotel Le Lac, one of the finest in the region, with its room with breathtaking views over the water. At the Yacht Club, you can practice every water sport you love. Then take a canoe, the traditional transport residents used to go to Togoville. Do not miss the canoe ride that passes through the middle of fishing nets on the peaceful waters of the Lake Togo to reach your destination. Togoville, as we said earlier, has given its name to Togo. It is a lovely town that combines animist and religious monuments. Its German church, consecrated by the Pope John Paul II in 1985, and the reproduction of the ship on which the Virgin Mary appeared. Walk through the narrow streets and you'll find many fetishes which, in different parts of the city, show the voodoo practices and beliefs still prevalent. Every fetish has its adherents and its powers. Continuing our route along the sea, Aneho is the last town before the border of Benin. The spectacle of the Lake Togo flowing into the ocean is breathtaking. It was the first center of the German administration and therefore full of buildings of the colonial era, including beautiful villas, you cannot miss its church and its amazing paintings and decorations. Aneho is also a Pekpe, one of the most important ceremonies in West Africa, leading to demonstrations and rituals of the Gan people around the taking of the sacred stone. Besoso. This festival is one of the most amazing of Togo. You will enjoy this last city, so sweet, lined with coconut trees and populated by farmers and fishermen. And here we are at the end of our journey in this wonderful country that is Togo. But don't be sad. Take along with you our dances and songs that will remain in your head.